guys? You might know me as Mido Mechanic, or you might actually know my real name, Ahmad. Now, what I do is work on cars, and I also make content about working on cars, fixing cars. Talking about problems of the trade, talking about issues with people we deal with, issues with the trade itself. But what I bring you here today is a very not scary, but it's a very important message. You probably found this video because you watched this video on either TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, or YouTube Shorts, or anywhere else. This vehicle was basically the guy was driving it. It's a rental, so the renter was driving on the highway, and the hood just flopped open, right? And they brought it in. They didn't know what was going on. The moonroof was not sliding in, and I was called over to look at the vehicle. That's why I took the photos, not in secret, but kind of like just quick, just to get out of there, because I don't think I was supposed to take these photos. But anyway, it's a renter, so I don't think they even care. But anyway, after further inspection, it took me like 2 seconds to just lift the hood because the latch is not latching. I was like, okay, that's not latching. So I looked at the latch, and what you see right here is what's happening. There was a bolt missing out of the latch bolts. Now, most of the vehicles now, they have 3 bolts for the latch. This one had 2. But I've never seen this happen, like come out of the factory with it, that, missing a bolt. But it was missing one of the 2 bolts that hold the latch in place. Whether it was somebody that did work on it, or somebody was doing, replace the radiator or condenser or something, they forgot the latch. Maybe they replaced the latch and they forgot to put the other bolt in. This is something I want to, bring to the table right now and say, not everyone should be fixing cars, because fixing cars requires you to pay attention, and it requires you not to get distracted by other things. And even if you did, you got to remember to put everything in. You got to remember to put all the bolts in. Now, maybe I already said this, but I've never seen a vehicle come out of the factory missing a latch bolt, because if you pop the hood, you will see. If you're inspecting for errors or missing items or unplugged wires, you cannot miss it because it's right there. And it could be one of their service teams, because most rental companies, they have like service crews. They usually do oil changes and maybe a transmission flood. I'm not even sure if they actually can do that. I know they do alignments and stuff like this, so maybe they did something. Maybe somebody was needing a bolt somewhere and they just took this bolt. It could have been done by the customer to get out of the rent, get out of it, or get something out of it. I'm not sure, and I'm not accusing anyone of anything here. Let's just be clear. I'm just saying all the possibilities. But stuff like this, now let's bring it back to people that work on cars. You got to remember to put all the bolts in. Maybe you don't know, maybe you don't see it, maybe you don't think it's important, but all the bolts need to go back to where they were taken out of. If you have a fish memory, if you can't remember where bolts go, we have the technology, we have the tools. I'm gonna put a few here. I'm gonna tag him. Probably gonna make like $2 if you spend 200. But either way, I'm gonna tag him in the video. Like tool organizers. This video was not intended for that. It just came up, right? Bolt organizers. Like, depends if you're doing oil pan or something. You will have enough room to put every bolt where it was, or you can just use a cardboard, draw whatever gasket you're taking it off, or the manifold face or something, or a fender. Just draw it on the piece of cardboard, punch some holes and put the bolts in it. You can also do that. You don't need to buy anything, right? What I want to bring awareness to is, I've seen this on lazy text mostly. You need to put all the bolts back. You gotta bolt everything. You cannot have a bag of extra bolts. Now, it happens to me when I replace, fender liners or something. I'll have extra, like, liner clips, because it happens to everyone. You have a few extra fasteners. Yeah, for me, it's when I replace a liner or a bumper, I would have an extra clip or 2, but I would have replaced them. But now you're doing something and you're missing bolts. Bolts are bolts for a reason. They're not fasteners. They're not just it's not just flopping there for no reason. Everything serves a purpose. Now, we can argue that engineers are making stuff harder on purpose. Yeah. They want to sell more cars. They don't want you to know how to fix the car so you can buy more parts, so you can buy a new vehicle. It's on purpose. That's what they're in business for, and not just, they don't make reliable cars anymore. They're not around for, giving people reliable cars. They will be reliable for the first three years, like for the leasers. If you just lease cars all year long or your entire life, you're not gonna fix cars if you only lease them. Now, some brands definitely have disasters. Like, you get the car, 2 weeks later you have a recall. We know those. I'm not gonna mention any of them because it basically happens with all the manufacturers, all the makes and models. Everyone, they have recalls on them all the time. So I'm not gonna mention a name. You might have seen me with a Ford hat. I am a Ford guy. But still, all the manufacturers have these issues. One more thing I want to bring attention to is when you replace used parts. Whether it's, if it's mechanical components, don't use bushings and tie rods because they will go out. They will go out way quicker than you think. Don't use used hub bearings. Don't use used shocks because they always fail. They always fail. Within maybe max a year, they always fail. Now, we're talking about bodywork. Never use the junk that comes on the junk door. The shell might be good. I know a lot of shops are now returning used parts because they think there's rust on them. If there's rust, send it back. Don't fix it, right? But either way, if you ended up using that used door, do not use the guts off that door unless it's something like a run channel or maybe a handle, something that is not electronic or mechanical. It has to be something like a fixture or something because they always fail. I had an instance with my coworker, and he replaced, let's not, call the vehicle what it is, but it was a van with a sliding door, and he did not use any of the components off the original door, and he had fun working on that one. He had about 2 days maybe into that car alone, just trying to figure out what was the problem. I told him, dude, you gotta use all the original parts. And it was like, oh, but you have to use all the original parts. They're not damaged. I don't know why they replaced that door anyway. The door was fine. Maybe 6-7 hours of repair tops. If you're like, it's a van. A 2024 van. Those doors are pretty expensive. We could have gotten 14 hours to fix that door. But anyway, I don't know who made that call, but we got a new door for it. A used door for it. And he was fighting with that door for about 2.5 days. And I told him like 3 times, you got to use all the original guts because you're going to have issues. He didn't. The excuse was, it was too hard. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. See, I'm lazy. But I'm lazy in the good way. I'm lazy because I don't want to fight with that door. I would just automatically use all the original parts. All the original mechanical components and all the original harness and everything original from the original door I would use. If there's something damaged, we would get new, right? I'm lazy because I don't want to fight with the rocker molding, so I would take it off to take the fender off instead of fighting with it and probably damage it. I'm lazy in that matter. But the bad lazy is when you're lazy because you don't want to take it off because it's extra work, even though you're going to be fighting with that rocker molding for like, 30 minutes just to get the fender out because you didn't want to take it out because it's extra work. You're damaging yourself. You're laying on the ground, or maybe it's on a lift or whatever, but you're still fighting with it because you were lazy in the wrong way. If you know how to do something, just do it. If you don't want to do it, yeah, we have a lot of you guys. Before I go, I want to let you guys know that if you have something that you want to talk about, if you have a problem or an issue you're facing at work, you want to bring awareness to, you can send it to me. You can email it to me. That's my email. Or you can just simply, DM me anywhere. And don't worry, you stay completely anonymous. If you just want to bring attention to the issue itself, just let me know and we'll be talking about it. Thanks for watching. Make sure you subscribe.
Could have been 30, could have been a G. Should have never snitched. Why take it to police? Started looking at you funny when you walking down the street.